All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got a great show for you. I don't know in my entire journalistic career if I have ever gone from a Thanksgiving, to the following Monday with as much news that has developed over the course of, the last 6 days, 5-6 days since we went off the air on Tuesday. But we got a lot to get to. Obviously, we're going to talk about what happened to the two National Guardsmen, one deceased, one fighting for his life, who is now responsive, so continue to pray for the families there. Trump coming out and basically saying, I'm now going to ban immigration from all third world countries. We're going to talk about that and so much more today on the show. The Paul Harrell program starts right now.
Paul Harrell program.
All right, folks, we got a busy news day to get to. Also, I forgot to mention that apparently, the word retarded now is now fully back in style because the President of the United States used it. And with that, I'll throw it to Rob Spencer.
Wow. I mean,
It's on the teeth.
I don't know how I come back from that.
You can disagree with me. I'm just stating a fact that Trump used the word. So
I think that we are, just as a society, becoming less and less sensitive to these words. Like, if you were called a racist 10 years ago, it was into your career. Now it's just another Tuesday kind of thing. So obviously tons of news to get to. Looking forward to talking about all the topics that we have to go over. You sent us the list today, and I thought, Lord, I hope we get to all of that because all of that stuff is worthy. But interesting times we are living in right now.
And we also have to establish that it is December 1st. You're totally now officially within your rights to listen to Christmas music and say Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
But that's not stopping the crazies in our home state of Little Rock. We're going to talk about this story. They're going to do a drag show nativity scene, apparently, some pride group out of central Arkansas, and it's just as disgusting as it sounds. But we're going to get to that later in the show. But I do want to welcome in seat number 3 once again, Eric Haynes. Eric.
Great to be part of the conversation.
All right. So if you'd have nothing more to add than that. That's the line. I like it.
He just does that.
I like it. It's brief, to the point. I think it's good. Let's get to the first story over the long weekend. Obviously, the development here. U.S. Army Specialist Sarah Beckstrom was one of the victims of this attack by an Afghani who it's also been confirmed that while he was in Afghanistan was a part of some sort of CIA strike force, Kandahar strike force, and it's now basically, it is what I think prompted Trump to make the Truth Social post, and he also did it on Twitter, which is he doesn't use all the time, to essentially say, hey, look, we've got to do something about immigration. We've got to pause it, all of it. It's got to stop.
Well, something's got to stop at this point, because what you have here is what the Republicans have been screaming for years, and that is that we have a ticking time bomb going on and it ticked, and this gentleman walked up, and luckily he he did tons of damage, but he wasn't it could have been, when you've got suicide bombers taking out hundreds of people and all of that stuff, and you say her life is worth something, at 100% is. She was just trying to do her job. And all of these absolutely vile people saying she shouldn't have been there in the first place.
This is somehow Trump's fault.
They're the same people that said that a woman will get raped, and they'll say, well, it's because she was wearing a certain type of clothing. Okay? That's the same mentality of, wait a minute, no. Let's focus on the dastardly deed here that has been done. Let's focus on the evil that has been done, not what the victims did to encourage it or deserve it.
Yeah, well, and you also have, at the same time this was going on, you have the rhetoric from the left where they're saying that the military needs to start to disobey the commander-in-chief, disobey the orders.
No, they're saying if you were given an illegal order, which, we all understand that
goes without saying.
It is implying, and you're just like, oh, well, it's not about implications. When you assume something, right? It's in the word. It makes an ass out of you and me, right? And it's like, okay, You made that video because you're saying that Trump is giving illegal orders, but yet when you're pressed with it, you cannot come up with an illegal order. You're just saying, it's just in case. We know what you're doing. We know what you're doing. It's like all three of us are parents. We know what's in our kids' head. We know what they're doing. Like, don't sit here and try and lie to my face.
Yeah, the manipulation tactics.
It is.
And we were watching that pullout of Afghanistan when those ships were loaded over and over and over with thousands and thousands of people on them. We've now seen documented video interviews with the pilots of those planes asked the question, so were these people vetted or any? And you've seen them literally unanimously say no.
Yeah, you saw the email
None.
that even confirmed that.
So thousands and thousands of these folks are here, and it's something we've got to consider every day.
Yeah, and President Trump. Oh, by the way, we want to also mention Andrew Wolf. So the National Guardsman Andrew Wolf, according to reports, is now awake. He is now responsive. Still fighting for his life, though. And I understand. You look at these two families and how they spent their Thanksgiving. Yeah. Obviously, the family of Sarah Beckstrom, they spent their. I mean, it's like the worst, most unimaginable tragedy.
20 years old.
And then you have this family as well, the Wolfs, who are by their son's bedside or hospital bed the entire time.
Looks
as
to
well.
be the same age. I mean,
and this is happening
on
this is what's insane. Like, we don't have to live this way. It doesn't have to be this way, and this is happening right here on American soil.
Yeah.
That's what's so frustrating, though, to think that it doesn't have to be this way. We are in this situation because we've done it to ourselves by allowing third worlders to come in here.
What right do you have to be in the United States? The three of us were all born here, right? That's our right. We're not a citizen of another country anywhere in this. Well, as far as I know, none of us have dual citizenship.
Not here,
right?
No.
So we have the right because we were born in this country. And somebody would say, well, that's an elitist way to look at things.
It's how nations have operated for thousands of years.
Oh, native-born Americans commit more crime than illegal immigrants, okay? Or these people who come in, even if it's on this work visa or student visa or whatever, and they become radicalized. I know a sufficient amount, I will just say a sufficient amount of individuals who are not in this country legally, or at least they don't have citizenship, who are not radicalized, who are 100% assimilated with this country. But you are naive if you don't think that there are radicalized groups, sectors here that want to cause harm to the big, bad, evil United States. Okay? And we saw it. This is not the only instance of this. And before we go down too far down this rabbit hole, I want all these individuals who say, well, diversity is our strength and all of that. I want you to ask yourself, when has diversity ever been the true backbone of the United States? It hasn't. It is what brings us together. Charlie Kirk talked about that when he was alive. What brings us together? And that is a common set of values, a common set of goals, and a common set of ideals. That doesn't mean that we all have the same religion, but it all means that we're proud to be Americans. And what we have is groups of individuals who wants to cause destruction, and we saw that.
Well, and if you go back to like the 200 years ago, the definition of what a nation is, you get definitions like a people that share a common ancestry and a common language. Yeah. So, but to your point, diversity being our strength, what a ludicrous thing to say. That is just some sort of forced fake altruism. You're wanting the world to be a certain way. But guess what? It's not that way, and it's not going to be that way until Christ returns.
Have you ever seen the show Suits?
Yeah.
Okay. What is the whole premise of that law firm? They only hire from Harvard. Okay? So you want to talk about the diversity of Harvard.
Yeah.
But what's the common goal? They're not the only law firm that will only hire from Harvard or only hire from Yale or whatever. And it's because we want those types of individuals to be at our company. Okay? Mm-hmm. We don't want to talk about that. We want to talk about the diversity that is Harvard, versus we're accepting the fact that there are certain companies that only want to hire from this type of individuals. And we see it too with all of these H-1B visas. And we're seeing all of that. My whole point of it is diversity is not our strength. It's never been our strength. What makes us the same or similar is our strength. And I'm just hammering this point home, but that's just how I feel about it. And we see the evil that comes when we forget that.
And so Jeremy Carl, who I've interviewed before, he's a really good guy, senior fellow over at Claremont, former research at Hoover Institution. He also wrote a really good book called The Unprotected Class, which is really about the rise of anti-whiteism all across America. But he made this tweet: people who will whine and scream about due process for the Afghan terrorist murderer should remember that when Zangara, I'm not going to, how do you pronounce that first name? Giuseppe. Okay. Zangara attempted to kill President Roosevelt in 1933 and assassinated Chicago Mayor Kermock in the process, that there were just 34 days in between the act and Zangara's lawful execution after trial. America wasn't a lawless frontier country then. We weren't uncivilized in many ways. We were more civilized than we are today because when people were obviously guilty of a crime, they received a quick trial and a just and prompt punishment. We can do that again today if we simply have the will. I mean, he makes a great point because, this guy's going to be in the judicial system probably for, how long? He's
20, 30 years.
Yeah. It's insane.
Yeah.
It's absolutely insane. Go ahead. Anybody?
Well, I was just going to say that they're about to execute. There's a woman who's on death row, and she committed a murder in 1996. And she's still on death row, and she's finally about to be executed. And there's this whole thing about trying to save her life. And I'm like, why is she still drawing breath?
Yeah, again, and that's the thing. This has been a kind of a creep into this where we really are, which is lawlessness, and it doesn't have to be this way. Donald Trump taking notice, obviously, he writes this on X: a very happy Thanksgiving salutation to all our great American citizens and patriots who have been so nice in allowing our country to be divided, disruptive, carved up, murdered, beaten, mugged, and laughed at, along with certain other foolish countries throughout the world for being politically correct and just plain stupid when it comes to immigration. The official United States foreign population stands at 53 million people, most of which are on welfare, from failed nations or from prisons, mental institutions, gangs, or drug cartels. This goes to that stat. I think that might have been one of the first.
It was a graph.
It was a graph. It might have been one of the first shows you were on.
Yeah.
Where it talked about the percentage of immigrants and how much welfare that they're on.
The percentage of that particular population and what it was on
and
welfare.
that happened when the government shut down and all of a sudden food stamps wasn't going to get funded for a time. He writes, they and their children are supported through massive payouts from patriotic American citizens who, because of their beautiful hearts, do not want to openly complain or cause trouble in any way, shape, or form. And I think we're past that, by the way. They put up with what has happened to our country, but it's eating them alive to do so. A migrant earning $30,000 with a green card will get roughly $50,000 in yearly benefits for their family. The real migrant population is much higher. The refugee burden is the leading cause of social dysfunction in America, something that did not exist after World War II. Failed schools, high crime, urban decay, overcrowded hospitals, housing shortages, and large deficits. As an example, hundreds of thousands of refugees from Somalia are completely taking over the once great state of Minnesota. Somalian gangs are roving the streets looking for prey as our wonderful people stay locked in their apartments and houses, hoping against hope that they will be left alone. The seriously retarded governor of Minnesota, Tim Walz, does nothing, either through fear, incompetence, or both, while the worst congressman woman in our country, Ilhan Omar, always wrapped in her swaddling hijab and who probably came into the USA illegally, in that you are not allowed to marry your brother, does nothing but hatefully complain about our country, its constitution, and how badly she is treated when her place of origin is a decadent, backward, and crime-ridden nation, which is essentially not even a country for lack of government, military, police, schools, etc. Total burn there. I mean, just like
what?
And honestly, I'll just
burned it all down.
He did, but I'll throw in like she complains about our Constitution, and yet they're using the First Amendment to erect mosques and everything else. You know what I mean? They're using it against us. Mm-hmm. Okay, let me finish this, and then we can get into it. I will permanently, he says, eroded these. Let me back up. Even as we have progressed technologically, immigration policy has eroded those gains in living conditions for many. I will permanently pause migration from all third world countries to allow the U.S. system to fully recover. Terminate all of the millions of Biden illegal admissions, including those signed by Sleepy Joe's auto pen, and remove anyone who is not a net asset to the United States or is incapable of loving our country. End all federal benefits, subsidies to non-citizens of our country. Denaturalize migrants who undermine domestic tranquility, and deport any foreign national who is a public charge, security risk, or non-compatible with Western civilization. These goals will be pursued with the aim of achieving a major reduction in illegal and disruptive populations, including those admitted through an unauthorized and illegal auto pen approval process. Only reverse migration can fully cure this situation. And I'll just add the nation. Only reverse migration can fully cure the situation. Other than that, happy Thanksgiving to all, except those who hate, steal, murder, and destroy everything that America stands for. You won't be here for long. Now, these are incredible words.
Yeah.
It's certainly what there were a ton of people who have been very critical of Trump, who were on the right, who were applauding this over the weekend. Let's hope it turns into action.
Yeah, we talk about tipping points. There's a great book called The Tipping Point. Everybody should read that. But you get to a point where you're like, okay, that's it. Like, you've now reached the tipping point, and now this is what is going to happen. And statements like this make it clear that President Trump reached the tipping point, and he's like, this is it. I'm not going to hold anything back in this, and here we go. Like, this is what needs to happen.
There's a movie, I want to say it was in the 80s, maybe early 90s, with Farrah Fawcett called The Burning Bed. Do you guys ever remember that?
Never seen it.
Okay. So I believe that it was based off of a novel, but I don't quote me on that. But essentially, Farrah Fawcett, who is an underrated actress, or was, God rest her soul, she was an underrated actress. Anyway, she's just married to this vile individual who just beats her every day. And she finally has enough. And she sets his bed on fire while he's in it. And so, Eric, to your point, you were talking about a tipping point. Mm-hmm. And it's like this battered wife who had had enough. And I'm not advocating for murdering your abusive husband, but you go through that movie and she felt like she had no other out. I feel like the United States thinks that they have no other alternative at this point other than, like, all of these people who are in our country who hate our country, leave. Get out of here. Now, native-born citizens who hate our country, there's not much we can do about it. The soy latte drinking crazy lunatic leftists, we can't do much about you.
We got to deal with them unless you get a Rosie O'Donnell situation who flees.
Yeah. So
just got to outvote them.
Yeah. So you just got to outvote them. I mean, that's democracy. That's the system that we're in. However, if you have these individuals who are here at who, what is the cabinet members are serving at the pleasure of the president. If you are here at the pleasure of the United States and you hate the United States, get the hell out.
Yeah.
The compounding of what, all of this invasion has done, mixed with, for 4 years of the Biden administration, we were told that we were the problem. What was the problem? White men.
Yeah.
And all white men are white supremacists, according to BLM. So we were the problem. And according to President Biden himself, white supremacy is the number one worst thing in our country, which was just crazy to hear at the time. But this is now, the pendulum has swung, and we reached a tipping point where we're like, no, this is not, that is a small problem. This is a serious problem that we have to address right now.
We'll keep hammering white men, and we might be a problem. If you can only kick somebody while they're down so many times where you're just like, okay, I'm not allowed to say these words.
Yeah.
Which leads us
This is
into
great. Yeah.
to our next
That's
point.
great.
There.
People are also tired of not only being told they're the problem if you're white or whatever, but they're tired of the political correctness,
PC police.
and the speech controls and everything else. I mean, it's weird. I mean, I lived through a time where you could say retarded. Everybody said retarded, and then everything got and I'm saying everybody. I'm not saying that you guys are guilty of ever doing it, but when I was growing up, that was just a word that you could say. It's also a musical term, by the way. If you're if you're in sheet music and you're trying to slow down, it's called a retard or a retard. Most people pronounce it retard. And I'm saying this enough because I'm saying this because to me it's liberating because people have had enough. It's not the end of the world. The sky's not going to fall because the president of the United States used the word retarded.
Yeah.
But Tim Walz probably could have felt like this.
Beethoven just tipped his hat to you, by the way.
Oh, Beethoven.
Like, but you've
That
got
is true.
This long post, this long drawn out. This is straight from the head of the president of the United States, Donald Trump, and they're honing in on this one word.
Yeah.
I'm retarded?
No, they're probably going to get a strike or something. That was the show Quantum Leap. There's been many people that have been. By the way, that was a great show. Did you guys ever watch Quantum Leap?
It
growing
did.
up?
He never leaped home, even in the finale. Did you know that he never? Because
I forgot how it ended.
He's hoping that his next leap will lead him home.
Yeah.
And he never leaps home.
I think he eventually. Yeah, maybe he does get back at some point, but then he goes right back in.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
I don't remember that one, but I just remember the finale, and everybody was like, "What the?"
Yeah, he
hell?
just
was
keeps
supposed
going the whole
He was
time.
supposed to leap back home.
And then this has been making the rounds.
I don't know why you're doing this to me. I ain't done nothing. You had sex with Willa Maston. Ain't nothing wrong with that. She's 18 and legal. She's retarded. I don't know.
So it was a different time. It was a different time, and the question.
Look, I'm going to say right off the bat, I'm a 90s playground kid, and that term was used all the time, and it had nothing to do with making fun of those with serious
you're
handicaps.
Right. That's exactly right.
It really didn't. So, and I'm not sure where Trump's mind was at. I'm not sure if he, hey, Caroline Levitt, wait, you think I can push send now? Like when he's about to put this out on
he specifically put that word in there.
Yeah, it's
and then he doubled down, I guess.
But doesn't it? I mean,
it just doesn't need to take away from the point of a very great.
You're right. It does
paragraph.
It doesn't,
there.
but it has because, or at least one person, because Indiana's trying to redistrict. Let me find this piece. Yeah, right here.
Oh yeah.
So this is incredible. So there's a state senator in Indiana who says, Eric Daugherty summarizes by saying, in an infuriating development, Indiana GOP State Senator Michael Boacek tells Trump he's no on redrawing the pro-Republican 2026 congressional map because Trump called Tim Walz retarded.
So he has a daughter with Down syndrome, and he's offended.
Oh, he's offended. Right.
He's offended.
Right.
Which I question his Republican card if he's offended by words, because most Republicans, most conservatives are not offended by a word.
Yeah.
Now, it may make us angry, but we're not offended by it. Like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I can't believe it. Trump was obviously talking about my daughter who has Down syndrome. Sir, you are putting that connotation on it.
Yeah.
No, I'm more offended by Tim Walz calling law enforcement officers and ICE agents the Gestapo.
Yeah.
I'm more offended of him calling Trump a Nazi and Hitler, and looking forward to getting a message on his screen someday that President Trump is dead, and him hoping that it comes soon. I mean, that's the stuff that it's like, dude, you're sick.
And that's why this kind of outrage, we all saw. You have to go back. We all saw Charlie Kirk get murdered. Just a couple of months ago, and we've got people clutching their pearls. Essentially, I'm not going to help I'm going to help the Democrats impeach Trump and essentially torpedo anything else that happens because he used a word that I don't like. He's certainly within his rights to do it, but it's insane.
What? Speaking of torpedoes, I just think Tampon Tim is really, really just an absolute idiot. Yeah. And it's hard not to laugh at him and feel bad for some of the things that he says. And he's made light of himself before.
I guess I'm just a knucklehead.
At least he has an ability to make fun of himself, which I think is an endearing characteristic in most cases. But golly, just some of the things that he says, just so classically.
I've become
unbelievably
good
stupid.
friends with school shooters.
Yeah, man. I mean, you want to talk about some terrible things to say. That's pretty rough.
That
right
dude
there.
thought he was going to be the vice president of the United States.
Yeah.
So did his wife. You remember how crazy
Yes.
she was?
Oh.
Turn the page.
Yes.
Wait,
Yes.
you got to do the crazy eyes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Turn the page.
Oh
Yeah.
my.
And you're just like, it's always the eyes, man. The crazy eyes.
That dude thought he
I
was
didn't do
gonna
I
be
didn't
the
do it
VP.
justice. I've never studied, how to act like a demonically possessed person. I've never actually studied any of that. And
Wow.
So here's Donald Trump.
It's pretty funny. Well, I think it's funny, at least. All the illegals, they still think we're stuck with them? No. You're about to be stuck in here with us. Clock is ticking. Could be a soft tick, could be a loud one, hard to say.
Y'all remember that movie?
Those guys in the hard hat behind him, they're all like shaking.
Do y'all remember
Try
that?
not to laugh.
The movie The Watchmen. It was like a superhero
yeah,
movie.
yeah.
There's that one part where the Rorschach, the guy with the mask, is in prison, and then he throws the burning grease on the
Oh,
inmates,
yeah.
and he's like, "You don't understand. I'm not locked in here with you. You're
Yeah.
locked in here with me." Some people are saying that.
It's a good reference to
Yeah.
Yeah.
that.
Your voice
Yeah.
sounded just like his in that movie.
Oh,
too.
it did really.
Yeah,
Well,
very
thank
nice.
you. I haven't studied that either. There we go.
But yeah, I agree with who had the retort to the Illinois state senator
Let me
who
see
posted
here.
about it.
Oh, that was Steve Dace, absolute traitorous scum.
Well, I agree with Eric Daugherty there. What a freaking child.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Like, look at that one. You're just like, come on, man. You're acting like a baby. You just say you hate Trump. That's
Yeah.
totally fine. And you can disagree. I mean, I see some of his tweets or truths sometimes, and I just like, shut up. Come on.
We're kind of
you know?
over it. That's I guess
We had that conversation when Marjorie Taylor Greene was resigning.
Yeah.
There are some times that it's frustrating
Yeah.
to see the harshness of the tone sometimes when we're all
Right.
more PC than that in our normal day lives, in our everyday interactions with the people we go to church with the people that we interact with in business. We're respectful. I don't need that. I don't need that from him during
Yeah.
tough times. I need him to get to the tipping point and then make changes
Yeah.
that make our country better.
I completely agree, but I also think that the way he talks is the way a lot of people talk when they know they're around, people that are not going to get super uber duper
Yeah.
offended. And I think that it really just reflects this silent majority, that what we're fed by the corporations, what we're fed by Democrats, what we're fed by Hollywood, what we are fed by literally every major institution, professional sports, the music industry, all of that forced, phony altruism.
Yeah.
The majority of the people look at that and they're like, well, I don't talk like that. I don't think like that. And I just want to be real with somebody. Right. So,
Well, I was watching a stand-up comedian who was talking about LGBTQ plus IQ, Niner, whatever it is. And he was talking about, he's like, it all used to just be G. It was all just like, you're just, okay, you're a woman who likes other women. Okay, well, you're gay. It's just, you're
I
gay.
saw that. I saw
You're
that.
gay. And then, but he works all through it, and he's just like,
this
still.
Chappelle?
No, it's
No,
not Chappelle.
actually-
It's a different guy.
Actually,
we had that great talk
No,
about
yeah.
Chappelle.
Chappelle had it, and when
Yeah.
when I first saw it, I said, "Is he going to just rip off Chappelle here?" And he didn't.
no, he
Oh,
didn't. He went
okay.
down the other one.
Yeah.
Except that they had the same sort of punchline, and that is, then you get to the T's. And the T's are, you can't joke about them. You can't. And it was just kind of like, wait a minute. Okay, make fun of me for being a 6'4" bald guy who could probably lose a couple of pounds, who, just white guy, whatever. Make fun of me for that. I don't care. You're not going to hurt my feelings for that. But you're a man who thinks you're a woman, and you've not had any sort of surgery. Not that that's got to be this sort of prerequisite for you to have this, whatever you want to call it, loony bin card that you carry around here. You've got a penis, and you think you can go into the women's restroom And if I say something about that, then I can be canceled. I am a bigot. I am evil. I'm like, when did we get to this point? Right? Like we talked about growing up in the 90s and you could say the word retarded. I'm not saying that that's the best word to say. I'm not suggesting that I even use that in my everyday language. But when did we get so focused on words?
Yeah.
That it becomes like you've got a person who is a Republican who supports Trump allegedly. Okay, we all understand that this person's probably a rhino, but they're a person that allegedly supports Trump, and he was offended by one word because it personally
impacted him because his daughter has Downs.
Okay, does he literally believe that Trump believes Tim Walz is retarded? You know, like mental retardation, mentally, whatever. I probably get canceled for just saying that part. But no, Trump was using it as a slight against him because he's a goofball. Mm-hmm. Tim Walz is a goofball, and Trump wanted to make it sting, so he did that. Now we've got people that are wanting to vote against him. When do we get to this point?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think the speech police also, it's been used in a very obviously Orwellian fashion, but it's used to manufacture consent.
Oh, yeah.
Just to put out this idea that, we have a docile population and everything else. And,
well, we've said
it
it
hasn't
before,
worked.
like how you don't get canceled is you refuse to apologize.
Yes.
When you apologize is when you get canceled.
Well, yeah, and and that I hate that we're even here because sometimes, I think if you genuinely believe you've done something wrong, or let's say you do say something that offended somebody, but you don't really, you're sorry that you offended them, and so a legitimate apology is a good thing to do there if you actually care about your fellow man and that sort of thing. But we're to the point where, and I'm not saying this is a good thing, but it's like what you're saying earlier, set the bed on fire. People have had enough.
I think they have. And, it happened, I think, even before Trump, when you're leading up to the 2020 election, which was obviously with Trump, leading up to the 2020 election, what did Biden say on Charlemagne the God's podcast, right? He just said, well, if you're a African-American or a black person and you have trouble deciding whether you're for me or for Trump, then you ain't black.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that is the very definition of a racist thing to say. Like, if you don't vote for me, then you're not black.
Yeah.
Now come over here and rub my hairy legs.
There you go. And it used to turn in the sun, and like he has said,
Gonna put y'all back in chains.
I
remember
remember-
that?
I remember
Good
that one.
grief!
Yeah.
but
What
never
stupid
once,
comments.
never once has that man apologized, and he was elected president of the United States for it.
Yeah. So then we had another tweet here. This was on Truth Social, though. Donald Trump, any document signed by Sleepy Joe Biden with the auto pen, which was approximately 92% of them, I didn't realize it was that high, is hereby terminated and of no further force or effect. The auto pen is not allowed to be used if approval is not specifically given by the President of the United States. The radical left lunatics circling Biden around the beautiful Resolute desk in the Oval Office took the presidency away from him. I'm hereby canceling all executive orders and anything else that was not directly signed by Crooked Joe Biden because the people who operated the auto pen did so illegally. Joe Biden was not involved in the auto pen process, and if he says he was, he will be brought up on charges of perjury. Thank you for your attention to this matter. This is another one of those scandals that
See
you're
ya,
like,
Ketanji Brown Jackson.
yeah. This is
Her
that's
head
a-
would
that's a-
explode
yeah.
if it was before her.
That's a real possibility because who knows? I don't know if it'll happen. But this is another one of those investigations that's like, okay, great, we know that was criminal.
They've already cross-referenced the time where a lot of these were signed because they're time-stamped.
Yeah,
And a lot of these things were signed by the auto pen when he was way
In
away
Tokyo.
and on
Yeah.
foreign trips. Like he had no input in this
Well,
stuff.
I have a logistics question here. Let's just say, number one, that this is legal, that Trump can do this, which I seriously doubt that he can do this. But let's just say that he could. I honestly wonder if he's just he does this to just get him talking about this.
Oh, this is
instead of,
trolling.
You
This
know,
is
it's trolling.
Trolling 101.
But what do you do? Like if you signed an executive order to let someone out of prison, do they go pick them back up and put them back in prison?
Yeah.
Like, how does that work?
Yeah, I see your point. I agree. I think the legality here is weak, but
Yeah.
I just am like, put somebody in prison already. Like, allegedly they were selling pardons. Like, staffers were like, hey, give me $100,000 and I'll use the auto pen and get you a pardon.
Sure.
So it's
Sure.
like, well, those people should be in jail. What's taking so
That's the
long?
very definition of corruption, and we'll see what ends up going with this. But
This is him just taking the old Zebco and tossing out bait and
Yeah.
just seeing who will waste time. If it'll just freak out the Dems into wasting time on it. That's all.
This is not on our list of things to talk about, Paul, but I did want to bring this up that we are, 11 months, 12 months. I mean, we're in our 12th month of his presidency, right? So on the 20th, it'll be yes, next. So 11 months. But anyway, where is the perp walk? Where is the accountability? I know that they're having hearings, and I know that they tried to go after, James Comer and
Comey, yeah.
yeah, James Comey, and then Letitia James up there in New York. I know they went after him, and it was dismissed on procedural stuff, and so they say they're going to refile that thing. But how much of this is just trying to throw meat to the Republican base to try to say, hey, we're doing something. We're doing something. No. That's not why we elected you. We want perp walks. And if it doesn't happen, we're going to fly into those midterms, and you're going to have an uninspired electorate.
To your
There
point,
won't be
and
perp
we'll go here. We'll go here next because Eric, you had mentioned this on our group thread about this GOP race in Tennessee. Mark Mitchell responds to this post: does the Trump team really know why it won? And its response to Christopher Hale, who is a proud Tennessean and a Democratic nominee for U.S. Congress. So take this with a grain of salt. But this is what he said. I just got off the phone with a GOP operative in Tennessee. Here's what they told me. Van Epps' team assumed the Trump endorsement alone would carry them to victory. After the October primary, they dialed in an anemic campaign on the belief that the race was essentially over. About a month ago, the calculus blew up. They watched Trump's approval drop by double digits in Tennessee after he went on offense against releasing the Epstein files during the shutdown. According to this operative, Trump's approval rating statewide is now just 44% in a state that he carried with 64% of the vote.
Yep.
So
I believe some of that. I don't believe.
okay,
that,
that's kind of where I'm
okay.
at too, right? But I think the trend. I think we would be naive to say, look, we've been on this show many times, very critical of the Epstein thing, but also critical of a lot of other things. And
This is Nashville, man. And she's saying the same things that Mamdani said. She's not taking the bait on rehashing the stuff that she said in 2020 about Nashville, about how much she hates it, she hates country music, and she hates all the bridesmaids parties and all this stuff that's going on in town. She hates all those things, hates the city. Like, it doesn't matter because she's avoiding those questions, and she's talking about what? Affordability.
Yeah.
And that's what's resonating. And so she's going to host this. AOC's hosting a big telethon for her tonight online. And that's what's getting out young people to go in a place like Nashville. And I'm just hoping and praying that, this thing goes the way it should, because it's already a thin margin in the House.
but if it doesn't,
You can't lose to radicals like this. She is a Democratic socialist.
yeah.
Oh yeah, and Mark Mitchell is as plugged in as anybody.
He is.
So
He's a good guy,
it needs
too.
to be
Yeah.
taken seriously.
Yeah, so I guess the thing is if for some reason, I know according to polls he's up a lot, or the last one I saw before Thanksgiving, but
Don't assume.
if for some reason this goes the Democrats' way,
Yeah.
I think you'll have your answer as to how the first year of Trump's presidency has gone in terms of what the base thinks about it. The people that turn out in off-year elections, and you'll have your answer.
Well, what I was that's exactly where I was going with it. And it's not that a Republican who is a Trump supporter gets ticked off with Trump and votes for a Democrat. That's not what's going to happen, folks. It's going to be that they just stay home on election day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all going to be about turnout, and the Democrat is going to win by default. And because their ground game is better or whatever. And if the Trump team thinks that just because he endorses someone or a candidate, worse, believes they have to treat it like I've got to win no matter if I get an endorsement or not, right? I've got to treat it as I have to get people to the polls.
Yeah.
And if they don't, then we're going to have a really, really rough 2026. And we have all said if they take the House, we're going to get impeachment number 3 and number 4 or whatever.
Yeah.
And he'll be a lame duck his last 2 years.
Yeah.
This full court press by the Republican Party of Tennessee came way too late, and they should have been on this way heavier from the very, very beginning, because she's saying all the right things about affordability. Now, as I've said many times before, when you're having a conversation about affordability, ask for whom and from whom.
Sure.
And that's what she's not answering, because she's saying the same things Mamdani said, which he's not going to be able to do once he's really into his position. But tomorrow will be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, they're going to say, well, it's to strengthen the middle class. It's to strengthen the middle class.
Yeah,
But it's like, where are these funds going to come from?
Yeah.
To your point, Eric. You're right.
Okay, huge news. This is another story that broke. So we've already covered a lot of stuff that happened over the last 5-6 days. This is a huge story. Alex Beringson, I'm going to keep screaming this until someone hears. A child died in Moderna's own clinical trial of its mRNA COVID jab, and the company hid the death from the public. It's a Substack post that he's made. It's about a USDA document that has been circulating and is leaked out there. Breaking: urgent mRNA COVID vaccines killed at least 10 kids. Sorry, I've got a headphone malfunction. Killed at least 10 kids, the FDA reports. An FDA review found the shots to blame for the deaths. FDA's new vaccine chief, Dr. Vinay Prasad, told staffers in an email the agency will tighten standards on new vaccine approval, Prasad wrote. He says the Food and Drug Administration scientists have found COVID mRNA jabs killed at least 10 children, the FDA's chief vaccine regulator told staffers Friday. The mainstream media is losing their minds over this. NBC is writing articles like, USDA says this, but it goes against what the experts say.
The experts. I love that they leave it that way. And they started a news thing that I saw. It was a video clip of it. It was on NBC News's own TikTok, I think it was. And it just started. The FDA is claiming without evidence. They are literally say that they're claiming without evidence. Is they're like trying to get that out there. And and then they go back to the experts. The experts say this, the experts say that, and it's just ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous when you think about what the experts were wrong with, especially with COVID. And we're trying to have revisionist history here. Bull. You think that kids didn't die because of an experimental vaccine? You're a fool. You're a fool. And it happened, and I'd believe that it's way worse than 10 kids.
Yeah.
At the risk of being a fool, I'm just going to back up on this a little bit and try to look at that data and wonder why no parents came out and why we're just now talking about this.
It's a great question.
But the fundamental principle is we should never have vaccinated children to protect the elderly.
Yeah.
That's never been done in history. That's not how medicine works. That's not how the modern healthcare system is based. You do not vaccinate children and kids to protect the elderly or protect those of a vulnerable status. It's never been done. So fundamentally for me, whether or not all of this is completely accurate and supported by the data and reports from those families, it doesn't even matter. It should never have happened. It should never have been encouraged for children to take this vaccine, and it should never. And the reasons for that encouragement were absolutely flawed and ridiculous.
Eric, to my opinion, and I know you see things, and I yield to your opinion on things a lot with the medical field, but the way I look at it is not that this totally normal, healthy child who had no issues gets the vaccine and drops dead, and the parents say nothing. Like, that's not what I'm trying to say, and I don't think that anybody would believe that if I was. But what I am trying to say is that we saw that there were vulnerable individuals, kids with leukemia, kids with these what do you want to call them? Childhood diseases,
Autoimmune
Yeah,
diseases
autoimmune
and-
diseases. All of these things that affected their ability to fight off infection. Well, now we're giving them this vaccine when we really should have just been protecting them the same way that we already were, the same way that you would protect them from flu.
Mm-hmm.
If they are susceptible, then just protect them that way, keeping them at home, all of the things. But what we saw was, hey, we're told to take this vaccine. And I just don't trust. I mean, we saw healthy 25-year-old soccer players dropping dead on the field. And
We still don't have answers from
with-
Damar Hamlin. Remember the NFL Buffalo Bills? That was really
literally his heart stopped, and you're just like, wait a minute. This
And guys,
guy's
we're going
a
to see
peak athlete.
We're going to see a lot more of this as it relates to cardiac issues with normal, healthy adults that were vaccinated, because that continues to be a problem of folks coming in with myocarditis and issues related to their hearts that they did not have before. Healthy adults, healthy individuals that weren't prone and don't have a history and are saying, what in the world, and why do I have AFib, and why do I have all these arrhythmias now, and why do I have problems with the plumbing of my heart? This doesn't make any sense. So we're going to continue to have that for a very, very long time, sadly.
before COVID. Who here had even heard of myocarditis? Maybe you.
I had not.
I'd never heard of it ever,
Yeah.
especially in young people.
So I'll say this, and then you can move on to the next point there. I agree with you, Eric, that we're going to continue to see this stuff, but yet we vaccinated children based off of what the, quote, experts said. How many things were they wrong about? 6 feet. This mask that clearly said does not protect against COVID-19 on the box, but yet you're having me wear it. And we're going to vaccinate these people. And Rachel Maddow, who shouldn't be taken seriously, but to say that she didn't have a big audience is foolish. She was 100% as big as Sean Hannity was on the other side of that, with 2.5 million viewers. And she says, we know that for every person that gets vaccinated, that stops. It tries to infect someone else,
And it doesn't. Yeah, so we did all this, and it doesn't even stop transmission.
And you have all these infectious disease doctors who are literally like, "What are you talking about, you loon?"
Yeah.
Unless they were so enamored with ideology that they couldn't
Fauci said
see.
the same thing she said, too.
Yeah. The leading guy. We
And he
trust
got a
in
pardon.
Fauci.
Yeah.
A preemptive pardon.
Yeah,
Right.
just like
Yeah.
his son.
And so my whole point of it is that we've not seen the full fallout of it, but yet we're not going to be able to unless we pull the curtain back. And when you see this, people as big as NBC News saying, we're presenting without evidence, and the experts say this. We've already played this.
Yeah, we've played this out, and you're all funded by Big Pharma. You have to say that. They're literally being paid to counter-signal the FDA.
Oh yeah, you'll see that in the comments.
Do you guys remember who was the mayor of New York City before Eric Adams?
That douche.
De Blasio.
De Blasio. Remember
yeah.
what he did?
Oh,
or
yeah.
was it De Blasio?
Ate
That
the
went to
French fries.
Shake Shack, right?
Yeah.
He goes to Shake Shack, and he's like, "Oh, you mean you get a free hamburger if you get vaccinated?"
Oh, look at these.
Oh,
He
you
had
know,
these
you fries?
creepy.
Oh.
He had these
Oh, no, wait,
creepy,
wasn't it
weird
Cuomo?
fingers.
No, that was
No,
not
no,
Cuomo.
it was
De
de Blasio.
Blasio. And
Oh,
he was like,
okay.
"Oh, is it too early in the morning for a burger?"
He's the governor. He was the governor at the time.
Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry.
Is
Good-
it too
good
early for some French fries? You say I
That's
get
right.
this if I get vaccinated?
point. Yeah.
And he was dipping it. He had these creepy, weird, long fingers. And I ever got really long fingers, but he just.
Oh, it was so
It
weird.
was weird,
Yeah,
man. It was
all
totally
of
weird.
this to get vaccinated because
Yeah.
they thought it would help. I do want to highlight this Brett Weinstein tweet. The FDA now recognizes that COVID vaccines killed healthy children who were in no danger of COVID itself. That's the tip of a gigantic iceberg. Bioweapon leaks, science fraud, regulatory capture, a global coup by the public health bureaucracy against traditional medicine, the debut of a lethal new vaccine platform, shredding of the First Amendment, and robotic pens used to brazenly pardon criminal masterminds all lurk just below the surface. Thanks to, and this is the FDA employee here, Vinay Prasad, for stepping up. This person, I'm going to put his. Let's just go to his page. this is the guy who's saying this in the email with the USDA. I mean, I just think that's pretty wild because he is stepping up because this guy is now, target number one for the big pharma medical industrial complex.
Yeah, I mean, well, let's just say this. Let me ask you this: were people forced to take the vaccine?
Some. Well, I mean,
Yes.
yeah, you lose
The answer is yes.
Yeah, the answer is yes. There were certain individuals, and there are some that, it happened right here in Jonesboro. I remember a very, very popular post from from one of our local hospitals here. A very prominent nurse posted that she was 4 or 5 months pregnant and just refused to get.
Good for her.
Yeah, she refused to get that, and she said, "Unfortunately, my husband is an independent contractor, and we have health insurance through my work. But we're going to just make it work and figure it out rather than risking the life of our child." And of course, everybody was just like, "Bravo, bravo!" And then there were individuals just like, "There's nothing wrong with taking this vaccine," because they're watching all of this indoctrination of that everything is fine. Could it have been completely safe? Could it have been? But let me make the decision. And people were forced, 100% forced, and we saw all of these health benefits. And why was it put in that you couldn't sue? You couldn't sue the manufacturers.
Yeah.
You're just like,
they have total liability protection.
they have all of this liability. And when you, what's it, Cavers, or not Cavers, it's the
VAERS.
website.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
VAERS,
the
vaccine
website.
reporting.
Oh, yeah.
Correct, yeah. And so you've got all of that. Well, that stuff was getting shut down. Like, you couldn't even Google it. You couldn't go on YouTube.
Yeah.
You couldn't go on YouTube and say, are the vaccines bad? Your account was shut down. That right there. I've said it before, but if that was a test of whether we would get on the train or not, okay, for that reference, we failed. We failed as a society.
Yeah.
And we just can't let ourselves go that way again. But anyway.
I've said this before that a quote that sticks with me is a quote from Jurassic Park Part 3 where Dr. Grant is talking to his underling there, his intern, and the intern's just made a terrible choice and says something to Dr. Grant about why he did it, and Dr. Grant just says, because he's talking about his intentions, and Dr. Grant said some of the worst decisions and some of the worst moves in the history of this country and this world have been done with good intentions. And I
That's
think
right.
a lot of people, as a general, there are obviously some really bad players, and they talk about some perp walks that need to take place, and that unfortunately are pardoned and won't be able to happen. But a lot of people did a lot of things with good intentions. But
Anybody
it
that
just
said,
is
anybody
where it is.
that posted, that had a news story, any of that stuff, and that say that the experts agree, they should have to turn in their journalism license because it is, you choose to say that because you're choosing to follow these
How many
particular
mask
experts.
confrontations
Yep.
did we all have to have, and did we all have to comply with? At times.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the people just in our day-to-day lives, had good intentions. I think they wanted to trust the science. They wanted to trust the authorities. I think you could, make some criticism of that, but not everybody is weary of George Orwell, dystopian things coming true. They don't believe it. It's never happened, so it never will. So there's a lot of normalcy bias. But as far as the people at the top, they
That's
did
right.
not have good intentions.
That's right.
And I'm convinced of that. I'm convinced if you go look up the patent on the pegylated lipid nanoparticle, you go research how all of this stuff, about blaming China. Yeah, we outsourced, gain of function research, but where did the research originally begin before the outsourcing? According to some reports, you're looking at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, and a man named Ralph Barrick. Ralph Barrick is on Rand Paul's radar. Rand Paul's even written about Ralph Barrick along with Anthony Fauci and all these lies. This was, this really was a conspiracy, the likes that you would write a movie about,
Oh.
right? 100% in my opinion.
100%.
And these people are still walking free, and people's lives were destroyed. An entire generation of people in schools' lives were destroyed. People are dead because of it. Don't even get me started about Anthony Fauci and remdesivir, the drug that was going to treat it. And then, of course, it shuts your kidneys down. And then they say, COVID's shutting the kidneys down. It's your stupid drug that failed the Ebola trial.
Right.
And yet you had a financial stake in it.
Yeah.
And yet this guy's still walking free. And so much of this that I even just said is not, even right now, it's not common kitchen table rhetoric, right? We knowledge. It's not common knowledge, and it needs to be made common knowledge.
No, you're right. The people at the top blamed bats. They said we needed to wear double masks to protect ourselves. Our kids needed to stay home from school for a year and not learn how to read and do math.
Yep.
And then they needed to get vaccinations that wouldn't have helped them anyway. So that's what the people at the top said. Those 4 things just alone, as far as 4 bullet points that now looking back on it, you're just like, oh my.
It's a crime
Atlanta.
against humanity.
Yeah, and they're gaslighting us now for saying that stuff happened. You're like, wait a minute, this is some revisionist history that if I've ever seen it.
Sorry,
Okay.
I didn't mean to get excited.
No, it's fine. I appreciate the passion. So as we mentioned at the top of the show, it is December 1st. Merry Christmas to everybody out there as we go through the next 25 days, and the new year's going to be here before we know it. So this is the time where people are putting out Christmas decorations. Some of them have been out for weeks, and yet we're going to have the left that's going to do their best to try to take what is supposed to be a celebration of hope, a celebration of Christ's birth, a celebration of his first incarnation, and they're going to try to pervert it and warp it. God bless you, Rob. And Merry Christmas to you. Libs of TikTok has this story. There's a drag queen nativity event for children in Arkansas mocking Christianity. It's being scheduled in my home state of Arkansas. They're calling it the Drag Nativity Scene. This is it's going to take place this weekend or on the 7th, I guess. So maybe next week. Join Queer Collective for a drag nativity. It's time to experience the nativity as never before. Campy, queer, silly, and sincere, this presentation is reclamation and resistance to those who say we don't belong. Look at these images, by the way. I don't know if you can see these images.
Yeah.
I don't think you belong. Whether you believe the tale or not, so they're not even saying that Jesus' birth actually happened. The story isn't owned by those who dismiss us. Yeah, it is. So see for yourself, or see the queens and kings of Central Arkansas bring the queerest story ever told to life. Queer joy overflows. So, that's...
We need the video of Kamala Harris right now saying, "How dare you say Merry Christmas?
Yeah.
How dare you?"
Yeah, here's what I want in all seriousness.
Goodness gracious.
I would love it if the Department for Family and Children's Services, DSCF, yes, the division of DHS that deals with child endangerment. I would love for them to go to this event, and any person who brings their child to this event should have a DHS case opened against them, because if they are endangering
child abuse.
That is child abuse. If you're going to take a 6-year-old to watch something like this, an impressionable 6-year-old, and to watch this filth, to hell with you. You do not deserve children. You are absolutely abusing that child. You are exposing them to filth.
It's rated PG-13 is what it says here. So in your 6, but even to your point, this is not a place for adolescents. This is not a place for people at all.
They're going to be there,
and it shouldn't even be taking place. If you want my honest opinion about it, this is a form of child abuse, and I've encouraged all states to do this, to open up your child abuse statutes and put stuff like this in there to qualify as such, because I think that's just what needs to be done to protect kids, because we don't want the innocence of children destroyed, and we don't want this in our community. And it's okay for communities and states to hold behaviors up and say this is wrong, and we disavow it, and we're going to make laws to that effect. So, and if you disagree with that, I mean, I guess you're a live and let live person. But if live and let live, as I've said many times, means I've got to put up with kids going to drag shows or parents chemically castrating or physically castrating their kids and calling it healthcare, count me out. I'm out. Live and let live experiment's over for me.
Listen, I can't control how you live as an adult, but if you are going to have a drag holiday event that is for adults only, by all means do it. That's what you choose to do that, go for it. But when you're bringing in nativity, you're doing it for a certain reason.
Oh, yeah.
You're doing it to infuriate Christians.
Oh,
and
it's
you
completely sacrilegious.
and you are trying to bring filth into the lives of young people, in my opinion, because we're all going to go to church, hopefully. Hopefully, if you're not, find a church, and we are going to sing songs to our Lord for Christmas. This is the opposite of that, and this is filth.
All right, well, that's about all the time that we have. But I appreciate it, Eric. I appreciate it, Rob. To Rob's point, if you don't go to church, go to church. Find a church that preaches the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. And we're going to be back here tomorrow. And God bless everybody out there watching. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, or do whatever the thing you need to do, regardless of what platform you're watching on. We'll see you tomorrow.